You're listening to Detroit Today on 1019 WDET. I'm your host, Stephen Henderson, and I'm really glad you've joined us. We are in the dining room of the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island for the 2023 Mackinac Policy Conference, talking with business and political and philanthropic leaders about what they're talking about here, about the challenges and the successes and failures that we have here in the state of Michigan. And we now have somebody who is in the middle of all of those things. Gretchen Whitmer is the governor of the state of Michigan, the newly reelected governor of the state of Michigan. Governor, welcome back to Detroit Today.
Thanks, Stephen. Good to be with you.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to you since the election last year.
How is that possible?
I know. That's a little odd. It is good to see you. Same question I put to everybody up here. Tell me what your goal is for the week. What's on your agenda up here? Lots of people always come to me and say, what do they actually do up there? What actually happens? So I always try to get people to explain. There's a lot that people have planned. There are a lot of goals that people have. What are yours?
Well, my goal is to enlist everyone here to be a part of Team Michigan. As we are thinking about our challenges as a state, there are a lot of great things happening, and people are feeling pretty optimistic. As you know, the Shuba poll earlier this week showed people are optimistic, but we're also sober about that there are some ongoing challenges for us. We've made some great strides. But my focus today on the main stage is going to be talking about strategic population growth. We know that our population did increase in the last census, but it was at a much slower clip than other states.
49th out of 50.
Yep, we lost a congressional seat, and we've got a powerful story to tell. There are a lot of great reasons that people are coming to Michigan. We got to tell that story, and we've got to make sure that every person in Michigan and who's looking at Michigan sees a real path to prosperity here. And so today I'll be talking about strategic population growth, what it would mean for a long-term infrastructure need and plan, as well as improving outcomes for kids in our education system.
Yeah. So since the election last year and the change in control in the legislature, you guys have been really busy in Lansing. You've gotten a lot of things done, a lot of things that Democrats have wanted to do for many years and haven't had the numbers to do. I just want to get you to recap what you think are the highlights of this first 5 months of the new term, and why the things that you're doing will actually matter to Michiganders.
Mm-hmm. Well, first let me start with I'm grateful to have some wonderful partners in the legislature. Speaker Joe Tate, a Detroiter, has been just an incredible leader. Mm-hmm. Senator Winnie Brinks, the Senate Majority Leader, has been as well, and so I'm really pleased to be able to say that in the first 100 days we delivered a $1 billion tax break, so that is help for working families, people that are working but can't get ahead, and we got rid of the retirement tax, so that's relief for seniors. We expanded our Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act to encompass the LGBTQ plus community. We got rid of the 1931 law that told women what to do with their bodies and made no exceptions. We expanded workers' ability to collectively bargain. We've ensured that Michigan has some common sense gun laws on the books. So we've gotten an incredible amount done. There's a lot more good work yet to do, but I'm proud of laying that framework, because that's how we ensure that Michigan is a place where every person can see a future for themselves.
Yeah. So back to population. We've been talking about population and the need to lose fewer people and attract more people to Michigan for a really long time, and it's been a constant theme up here on Mackinac. We also, in the background of that conversation, I think, always talk about an investment agenda that I think is really key to pulling those levers. But we never get to that investment agenda, it feels like, and that's why we keep slipping behind. So what do you think we need to do differently, and what do you plan to do differently to actually get that going?
Yeah, I'm so grateful for the question. So I think we've got a real opportunity here. And a lot of folks have talked about population growth, but it's difficult when you've got a change in administration every 4 to 8 years, pretty much 8 years, the last few decades. And that's why the council that I'm going to be announcing today, co-chaired by a pretty prominent Republican and a pretty prominent Democrat, will help pull in not just business leaders, but labor leaders, as well as academic leaders and elected leaders, to ensure that we have a strategy that transcends my time as governor. We won't have fixed this in 3.5 years, but this is going to lay the groundwork so that whomever comes after me can continue moving our state forward. We can't do this seesaw where we just focus on it for a couple years and then we get a new person there. We've got to have something that transcends, and that's why it shouldn't be led by me or any one person or any political party for that matter. This is a Team Michigan moment, and that's why I'm creating this council to put the work together. By December, we'll have a plan, and then we're going to be executing.
Yeah. I also want to talk to you about Highland Park, which is a small city inside the city of Detroit, a really great place with a wonderful history, but having a terrible time with its budget and with infrastructure. What's the state's role in helping them to fix that? And I asked that specifically about Highland Park, but I think, again, that fits into a much larger context of discussion about how we support cities. I've said for a long time, I think Michigan does a terrible job making sure that cities have the tools that they need to serve their residents. So tell me what you would do to help Highland Park, and what more we should be doing to prevent other cities from finding themselves in the same position.
Right. So the people of Highland Park have been paying their water bills, but the city of Highland Park hasn't been paying GLEWA.
Yeah.
And so GLEWA sued the city of Highland Park.
Yeah.
I think as the governor of Michigan, we're obviously not a party to the lawsuit. However, everyone's assuming that we will swoop in and make everything smooth.
Yeah.
We're watching very closely. We have signaled that we are interested in forging a solution, but it can't be borne by the homeowners of Highland Park who've been paying their bills and now are very worried about what is this going to mean if, depending on the outcome of the mediation that's happening. So we are not a party to the suit, but we are paying close attention because obviously as governor I care about the people of Highland Park, and we got to have a solution here that doesn't voice more responsibility or cut people off of access to water for which they've paid.
What should we change in Michigan to make sure cities don't find themselves? I mean, look, Detroit went through the largest municipal bankruptcy in the U.S. history. We've had lots of other cities go through emergency management, which is now, I think, third rail. No one would do that again. Yeah. But we still have a lot of cities that can't make ends meet because of population decline, because of industrial decline, all kinds of reasons. Should we be rethinking the basis for cities and their financial outlook in Michigan?
Frankly, yes, I do think that we should be. And, every year we talk about revenue sharing. Is it going to go up and by how much? But we don't ever have that harder conversation about does the structure really still make sense
anymore, right?
in 2023,
Yeah.
right? So I do think, and I welcome that. At this juncture, we're working on another budget bill, hoping that we can make sure that we can continue to keep people safe in their communities, which we know public safety is funded through those revenue sharing bills. But I do think you're making an important point, and I'm certainly eager and open to having that conversation with our leadership across the state to see if there's a system that makes more sense in 2023 and beyond.
Yeah. I got you here. I got to ask the question. Your name comes up an awful lot in national politics. These days, I see you on the cable news channels and lots of people writing about you and your future. Do you have any interest in the national elections that will take place next year?
I think you should do what I do, and I ignore all that and stay focused on my job here in Michigan.
Yeah,
this is the only place I want to be.
Isn't it? I mean, there's an awful lot of buzz about it.
It is. I keep trying to tamp it down, but the fact is I am absolutely 100% focused on Michigan. I've got 3.5 years to continue this work, and there's a lot to do.
Yeah. All right. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, always great to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks, Stephen.